Question 2d from the 2012 NCEA 2 exam. And this is find the value of c. And that's the thing we're trying to do, that one there, yeah? When all this is the case. So I'm looking at this, and one of the most obvious ways of resolving the fact we've got quadratic denominators is just to cross multiply. But in a way, we want to simplify first if we can. And the reason is because suddenly if I multiply this by this, I've got an x squared by an x. And we're going to end up with a cubic. And again, same here. We've got 2x3 squared, another cubic. That's not good. We want to make life simpler, not harder. And I can see an opportunity here, actually. And by the way, if you have a look at the answer, and I actually had a look at the answer because I was thinking, would they accept my way of doing that? And I've chosen a way which they didn't actually choose, and they actually suggest a completely different way to what I've done. So if you are looking at the answers, which is fine, just be aware that I'm not, and I'm doing the equation largely first most of the time to make sure I'm on the right track. There's always a danger when you get someone else who shows you how they would do it, but it's not the way your teacher would teach you, and it's not the way which your examiner would expect the answer to be and play out, and so you end up not getting it correct because it's not the answer they're looking for. I think that any answer should be valid providing it's correct, and irrespective of the method, because obviously any maths teacher, any mathematician should be able to steer you in the correct direction using any mathematically sound procedure, whether or not it's the procedure that you've been taught or the procedure that the examiner is expecting. So let's have a look at this here. So I would not cross multiply initially. In fact, what I would actually do is factorize this thing here. So I'm going to do that first. So I'm going to go equals, and I'm going to put, in fact, no, I'll put it underneath. Here we go, because I'm not quite sure how many steps I'm going to take here. This one here, no, I can do it in the steps. Here we go. So I probably don't need this up, actually, after all. Let's just get rid of this. There it is. So this thing here, if we just factorize that plainly, that implies, what that implies, this is going to be an x and an x. Signs are different. Biggest one is going to be, so 6, and it's going to be 3 and 2. So it's going to be a positive 3 and a negative 2. And that's going to be over 6x squared plus 4x plus c. And all that's equal to x plus 3 over 2, 3x plus 8. So the first thing I'm going to do now is divide both sides by, I'll just put it in here, divide x plus 3. Divide x plus 3. So I'm dividing both sides by x plus 3, which means, of course, that that disappears and that disappears. So now let's cross multiply, and we're going to end up in a slightly different place. We're not going to end up with the cubic. So that implies that we're going to have this times this. Well, this is going to be an x minus 2 times, and I'm going to figure this out as I go along. Well, 2 3s are going to be 6x, and 2 8s is 16. There they are. So now that's now being cross multiplied. Now I'm going to cross multiply this. Well, this is just going to be that times 1, because of course that divided by x plus 3 is 1. And it's going to be a 1 here. So, and that's going to equal 6x squared plus 4x plus c. So now let's go ahead and expand that out. That implies that. So I'm going to have x times 6x is going to be 6x squared. X times 16 is going to be plus 16x. Negative 2 times 6x is going to be minus 12x. Negative 2 times 16 is going to be minus 32 is equal to 6x squared plus 4x plus c. Well, I'm going to subtract 6x squared from both sides. There it is. That's gone. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. Minus 4x, there it is, minus 4x. So now I've got 16x minus 4x, that's going to be 12x. And I've got 12x minus 12x, which is 0. So now I've got C is equal to, so I've got therefore, whoops, that's not a very good therefore C is equal to what's left, which is negative 32. So there's the answer. And it popped in very nicely. It crept up very nicely after we did that one maneuver. Now, by the way, the actual official answer suggests you something quite different. And I didn't even bother to look really what they suggested, because this was the most obvious thing of all. Just if you get rid of the x plus 3 by dividing both sides by x plus 3, straight away you get rid of all the possible of a cubic, and the answer C is negative 32 comes up very quickly. Hopefully that makes sense.